Hey everybody, we're going to tie Skues' little red sedge. So the hook and the vise there is one of the new Arex hooks, which is a Sneck bend intended for North Country spiders, but Skues love the Sneck bend, and you can see that square bend there. Gives a little bit longer of a body, and we're going to use hot orange silk, or orange silk, a bright orange. Because it's silk. Actually, I wax everything. I'm going to use Bailey's wax there. And for the hackle, we're going to use a bright red, brown. The body material is hare's ear. You can see right there where I've taken some of the fur from the ear. You want that kind of dark, buggy hare's ear. And we're going to use a little bit of gold wire, small gold wire. And the wing calls for Landrail. Landrail is now endangered and hard to acquire. So that feather that I just showed you there is a very similar color. And that is one of the tail feathers of a Hungarian partridge or a partridge, the cinnamon tail feather. So if you have a partridge skin with the entire tail, you'll find some of those cinnamon colored feathers in there, and that's a great little substitute. So I'm going to tie it the way Skues describes. He outlines the whole process. So you tie in your silk, you tie in the feather that's going to palmer down, and then you tie in some wire and work your way all the way back to the bend. And then you dub on the hare's ear. This pattern is a little bit out of date because there are a lot of great patterns, but it is the father pattern, if you will, or the inspiration for probably one of the most important caddis patterns that we use today, and that's Troth's Elk Hair Caddis. And he credits this pattern as his inspiration. He dates the creation of that pattern to 1950s, I believe 1958. I could be wrong exactly on that date, but in the 1950s. So we're going to palmer this hackle back to the waiting wire through the hare's ear. Catch it in. Once you catch it in, you can remove your hackle pliers and wiggle that wire through. This is really just about securing that palmered hackle. It does add a little bit of flash. You want to use the thinnest wire you can because, again, this is going to be a dry fly. And we've left enough room up here at the head to put in the wing and a front hackle. Now you can see right here at this point in the tying of the fly, if you grab some elk hair and tied it right in there at the head, boom, you have your elk hair caddis. So that's the inspiration to that. I would say starting around the end of the 1800s into World War I, the fully dressed salmon fly, the fully dressed wet fly, and the use of exotic feathers, or what we would call now exotic feathers, began a decline, and so the end of the Victorian age. Even in England, it was hard to get these feathers, and the main market for the feathers were women's hats, but fly tying benefited from it. And in the U.S., that decline happened a lot faster than it did in say, London, for example. So the need to substitute other things for these various feathers um, became important, and the search for local, inexpensive products, uh, obviously happened. And we'll talk about that. I'm going to do a bunch of videos that kind of trace a little bit of that history and important flies that were developed that changed the game, if you will. But this is the precursor to the Elk Hair Caddis. I'm not going to do an Elk Hair Caddis video because there's hundreds of them, and basically here you have the idea. So instead of that wing I just tied in, which was folded feathers from that cinnamon partridge tail in place of landrail, you would tie in your elk hair or deer hair, whichever you prefer, and and then you would have the fly. Here Skues continues though, so you have that wing, and then we're going to do a front hackle. So I do fish this fly, and it works very, very well. It's a great fly, but for sure, you know, um, an elk hair, a deer hair, caddis imitation is much easier to tie, much faster, and works just as well. So, to be honest, I do those do occupy a larger portion of um, my caddis imitation patterns that I use more on a regular basis. I like to fish a lot of fast water. My favorite pattern in that case is Roman Moser's balloon caddis. Um, but an elk hair caddis, a deer hair sedge, basic deer hair sedge pattern, a sable caddis, etc. Those all work great. And so there's the fly. Front hackle, obviously larger and longer than the Palmer hackle, and the wing, sloping back. Here's some different angles of the fly, close-ups, and that's all. Important pattern, precursor to the Elk Hair Caddis, and that's all. Thank you. Take care. Bye.